Hello, Glossy Beauty listeners. As you kick off 2025 and work toward your aggressive revenue goals, one digital marketing platform partner is all you need, and that's ListTrack. ListTrack is your beauty and fashion revenue insider. ListTrack understands the beauty and fashion space and is the proven go-to partner for revenue creation, powering personalized consumer connections for leading retailers and brands like Peter Thomas Roth, Anastasia Beverly Hills, John Varvatos, and Oscar de la Renta.
ListTrack's powerful AI integration with Shopify allows you to access and unify your customer data to deliver personalized cross-channel messages that resonate, engage, and inspire your customers. Partnering with ListTrack gives you access to beauty and fashion experts who act as an extension of your marketing team, sharing proprietary industry benchmarks, data, real-time behaviors, and trends. Learn more at listtrack.com. That's listrak.com.
I think it's going to be huge in 25 and in 26 because the beauty and the fashion industry love to put high, powerful, creative that they've invested in front of consumers through all channels. RCS allows them now to leverage all the investment they've made on this content and now use it in a mobile channel.
That's Jamie Eldon, Chief Revenue Officer at ListTrack, our sponsor on this episode of the Glossy Beauty podcast. Later in the show, Custom talks with Jamie about how beauty brands are using personalization, working to stand out, and new creative formats on the horizon.
Hello, and welcome to the Glossy Beauty podcast. I'm Lexi Lebsack, West Coast correspondent at Glossy, and I'm joined by my co-host and colleague, senior reporter Sarah Spruik-Feiner. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Lexi.
All right, I have a very important question to start with today. Have you ever loved and worn a celebrity fragrance?
Okay, so I was thinking about this because I know who your guest is today, and I was thinking that, I don't know if I was, spraying a celebrity fragrance, but one of the truly formative beauty memories of my youth. And I kind of sometimes feel like I don't have as many as other people in the industry, but I have this was Jessica Simpson's desserts brand, which was edible. And you would
I did not see this coming.
It was definitely extremely sexual. And we would be 12, 13, 14, 15, going to Sephora and eating it. It tasted like candy.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't believe I was spraying it, but there were whipped cream. And by the way, I will
this, yeah.
Yeah. And I will also just say that I tend to conflate the memories of dessert with these. I want to say, oh my God, this was truly so long ago. I'm dating myself, but it was I want to say Urban Decay had a shimmery body powder that was also, shall we say, lickable. And so that I remember, and I remember dessert obviously being a celebrity one. But yeah, my memories of teen beauty have to do with trying to use them as snacks. So that's super cool.
Actually amazing. I did not think that edible Jessica Simpson was going to come out of your mouth. So that's pretty amazing.
I have seen some TikToks and stuff kind of eulogizing dessert beauty. And I am not the only person who is nostalgic for, I just Googled it, for the early 2000s, delicious brand.
Yeah. I mean, no, I totally believe it. There are so many celebrity fragrances out there that I did a little bit of research and they sell very, very well. And that kind of, takes us into this topic, which is we are having on today Lori Singer, who's the president of Parlux. And she's really kind of one of these longtime fragrance executives that is sort of ushering the new era of celebrity fragrance, which of course is super interesting right now because fragrance is so big and just the sales are so wild. And I know if, you're following along in the beauty industry, you've been seeing this for the last year, 2 years, 3 years, just massive fragrance sales. But Lori joined Parlux from a lot of really great places. She was at Revlon for a little while. She was also at Coty and Unilever. And she's kind of been one of these people that's really instrumental in like the Calvin Klein license, Vera Wang, Balenciaga, Nautica. She was also sort of like the person who ushered in the Marc Jacobs Daisy franchise.
Wow.
Yeah, which of course we know is like so big for Marc Jacobs. So and I was thinking about it, and I don't think I ever wore any celebrity fragrances, but I have done a lot of the license plays. Like even when I was little, and this is really going to date me, but like Tommy Girl. Tommy Girl was
Yeah.
like my first big one. It was like so, and then even like more recently, I got really into one of the fragrances from Stella McCartney that was just like so nice. And I wore that for years. But I think that it's funny because I never really thought about until the last couple of years, like how these fragrances come about. You think like the brand's making them. And of course they're not. It's a company like
Yeah.
Parlux, which is a global beauty company. They manufacture, they market, they distribute. They are the global licensee for tons and tons of brands, as well as celebrities. And Lori was a great guest. We talked a lot about Paris Hilton and Billie Eilish. You know, Paris
Fun.
Hilton has 30 fragrances.
I did not know that number, but I know that she's like super licensed out. Like, yeah.
And I mean, they sell and they do very well. And Billie Eilish, so the reason why Lori came on is we're celebrating the 4th fragrance from Billie. So we talked all about Billie Eilish's like journey with fragrance and some like really cool stories actually. But yeah, she has a new product that came out called Your Turn. And yeah, it was made with a really famous fragrance person, a nose, if you will, Frank Vocal from Firmenich, which I'm sure you've probably heard that name before.
Oh, 100%. And also, in addition to, obviously following the fragrance world, I love Billie. So I'm excited to hear more.
Oh, good. Oh, I didn't realize you were such a fan. That's awesome. Well, there's going to be a great story for you in there. I won't ruin it, but she has this really great story about Billie. But yeah, this guy Frank, he's a big nose, and he has worked with so many amazing brands. He was the nose behind the Glossier You fragrances. He's done stuff for Calvin Klein, for Fleur. He did Fleur Mood Ring. He also did Father Figure from them. It's really is just like a lot of really great fragrances. So obviously really knows what he's doing, and they've definitely invested to make this a big sellout. So yeah. Another theme that we talked about is how Lori's moves getting the Billie Eilish license and expanding the Paris Hilton fragrances has really helped Parlux in a very big way. They are in Ulta Beauty now with the Eilish fragrances and just doing really well. So she came on and talked a lot about sort of how the shopping habits for fragrance have changed, how different demographics, age-wise specifically, are thinking about fragrance, experiencing fragrance, shopping fragrance. We talked about the future of celebrity beauty and the future of just fragrance as a whole. So it was a great conversation.
I'm excited to hear this one.
Hello, Lori. Welcome to the Glossy Beauty Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Lexi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, me too. Well, I'm so excited to discuss all things fragrance with you. But let's go ahead and start a little bit about your role. What inspired you to join Parlux back in 2019? And what was sort of your hope for the business?
Well, first of all, I've spent my entire career in beauty, sort of a beauty lifer. I fell in love day one at Revlon, my first job, and I really have never looked back. So, I've had the opportunity throughout my career to work across all major categories: color cosmetics, skincare, body care, etc., with really the last 15 years or so focused predominantly on fragrance across all kinds of distribution channels, prestige, mass, direct-to-consumer, etc. And before joining Parlux, I was at Coty for over 15 years as Group Vice President of Global Marketing, overseeing the designer division, working on brands like Calvin Klein, Vera Wang, Balenciaga, Guess, Nautica, many others, and really building successful global fragrance brands. And, something that I'm very proud of working there was working directly with Marc Jacobs on his fragrance business. And during my tenure on that business in about 7 or 8 years, tripling the global growth of the Marc Jacobs fragrance portfolio. So an amazing time at Coty, lots of great learning, opportunity to work with fantastic fashion designers around the world. And then in 2019, Stephen, the owner of Parlux, reached out to me with the incredible opportunity to lead Parlux as president. I just found that opportunity to be fascinating and exciting. And I really jumped at the chance to join. At the time, we had about, I'd say 10, 12 fragrance brands in our portfolio, such as Paris Hilton, Jessica Simpson, Vince Camuto, Kenneth Cole. And Stephen really wanted me to evolve the prestige offering by bringing my skills and my background experience to really building the organization. And he was excited about my expertise to grow and scale global beauty brands. The expertise that I had working directly with founders, navigating licensing relationships and brand acquisitions. And my goal, upon joining was really to enrich the company's portfolio by introducing innovative, trending brands that resonate with today's consumers. And as part of my role, I've been committed to evolving the brand development, product lineup, and acquisitions that really resonate with customer needs, sentiment, and preferences, and fostering on longevity and identifying opportunities for driving, continued sustainable growth and expansion. So it was just an incredible opportunity for me to join. And we've had a stable of fantastic brands, but I was excited about the opportunities to bring new brands into the portfolio as well.
How exciting. I mean, your background is so rich, like you're saying, across the industry, so many amazing companies. And I have to say, you really got it right with the timing of this change because you must have known deep down because fragrance sales and really fragrance as a category has had the most remarkable growth over the last few years, but really especially last year in 2024. What do you sort of think about that? Why do you think fragrance is having such a big moment right now?
Yes, it's so exciting that fragrance is having a moment. And it's been a couple of years now. I know last year was particularly strong. I think, there's a couple of reasons. I think first and foremost, customer needs and demands have evolved. And I think that platforms like TikTok and social media have really changed the way that people discover and buy products. Mm-hmm. Today's consumers, they're savvy, they're loyal to brands that they can relate to. And especially for the younger generation, authenticity is so key for them. Mm. But when we think of the growth of influencers, social trends like, hashtag perfume talk, and really just, I'd say that it's been a dramatic shift in marketing plans and marketing tactics that are revolutionizing the fragrance landscape, right? I mean, years ago, it used to be about brands. They created the narrative. They told the story through iconic advertising campaigns and things like that and marketing plans. And today, consumers are telling the story, right? They're the storytellers through social, through user-generated content, and brands are now listening. So there's that amazing interaction that social media can provide where brands can listen and learn, really glean those consumer insights and pay attention to consumer sentiment. But I think what's super exciting is the young generation just absolutely falling in love with fragrance. Mm-hmm. We know that, Gen Z makes up over 20% of fragrance wearers. And, statistics show that TikTok influences 66% of their fragrance purchases, which is, amazing through social media. And really looking at the category growing over 10% year on year, no signs of slowing down. Clearly, as we, mentioned, it's the fastest growing category in beauty. So timing is everything. Prestige fragrances are really still dominating the market. So we're not seeing any types of pricing resistance. Prestige represents, 85% or so of total fragrance dollar sales. And what's been super exciting, especially for a company like ours, is that celebrity-founded brands have really experienced a tremendous resurgence. They've grown almost 60% in 2023 alone in the US, outpacing, overall beauty and fragrance trends. And celebrity brands now generate over $1 billion in sales annually in the US alone. So I think it's a testament to cultural relevance and resonance of celebrities, the commercial viability, and really this opportunity for consumers, especially I'd say Gen Z, to really sort of have that relationship with celebrities through brands that they create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This makes so much sense. And I will tell you, going back just 1 second around Gen Z and their sort of needs and buying changes or changes in how they're buying. I would not have believed anyone 10 years ago if they said that fragrance sales were going to be driven online in a medium where you cannot smell anything. And yet we are seeing that absolutely take off. Do you think it's just, authenticity and community, or what do you think is sort of like the secret behind, selling on social?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's, we're not quite there. One day maybe we'll be able to smell through our screens.
Fair.
We're not there yet. But I think what the industry has done a great job of is the storytelling behind fragrances. So first and foremost, I think consumers are just savvier than ever before. They're very interested in peeling back the layers of the onion, if you will, right? They want to understand the notes. They want to understand the ingredients, the composition of a fragrance. They want to know who perfumers are. Perfumers are now influencers.
Wild.
Where before it was just the celebrity or just the fashion designer, right? But they're hungry for information and they want to be educated and they want to learn. So I think that social media has allowed us to do that. So even though we can't smell the fragrance, I think the storytelling, the visual cues that we can provide, and certainly, you cannot discount the importance of influencers. And when they really talk about it in their own authentic voice, whether it's the celebrity whose name is on the fragrance or an influencer who, just loves it and wants to share it with their following, I think that's when there's so much interest in it. And you hit on something very important. Authenticity is key. And I think that today's consumer is smart, they're savvy, and they know that. They know when someone's just slapping their name on something versus when someone is truly, truly involved in it. But I am in agreement with you. Especially even young boys, seeing them involved in the fragrance category, going into Ulta or Sephora and seeing these packs of like middle school, high school boys just throwing blotter cards all over the place, smelling, 20 different fragrances. It's fascinating. As a fragrance lover like me, it just warms my heart, quite frankly.
Totally. If you had to compare and contrast sort of how the needs and desires have changed for younger consumers versus maybe older consumers. Obviously, it just seems like everybody's buying more at this point with the amount of growth. But you tell me, is it one demo that's buying, less expensive, or one demo that's buying the more expensive, or buying more or less? But who's buying all these fragrances right now?
Yeah, I think that everyone is, quite frankly. I really think it spans generations, but certainly younger consumers they're entering the category much younger than ever before. There's so many different forms of fragrance, whether it's mists versus trial sizes, different forms that might not have been available years ago. And I also think that the older generation, there's something to be said for kind of back in the day, there were many people had a signature scent. There was one fragrance that they absolutely loved. They were known for it. They entered a room. People knew what to expect. And I think they dabbled here and there, and they might have had something a little bit lighter in summer months or a more casual day in the park, or, based on, just different environments they were in. But the expansion of individual consumers' fragrance wardrobe, I think, has changed so much. And I think that the category, there's so many different olfactive profiles that, consumers used to gravitate to one. They really loved, a more a more clean or a more floral fragrance or more ambery or woody. And now I think they like to experiment and have different olfactive territories as part of their wardrobe. So I think that's been really interesting. And I also think that the younger consumer, they're viewing scent in a different way. Scent and fragrance is an automatic part of their lifestyle, where fragrance in the past might have been a little bit more of a luxury. It was always, it's always been the accessory, right? The invisible accessory, as we say, or the final touch before you went out, you sprayed yourself, but maybe a little bit more precious. And today, I think for younger people and for everyone, I just think we've evolved as a society, and scent is just automatically, part of our world. And I think in doing that, I think brands and companies have listened to consumers, and, we're designing lighter fragrances for more active lifestyles. I think we're more active than, we've ever been before. Yeah. More portability, smaller fragrance formats. When you think about the retailers and they have, kind of those fragrance bars near the cash wrap that are a bit, impulse oriented, and you have those travel sprays or roller balls that are at a much more entry price point. So I think those items are great because it allows trial at a much lower entry into the proposition, but it also provides portability with all of, airline regulations and limited liquids and things like that. So I think portability, layering is, I think really taken off. We hear a lot from our customers that they like to layer and mix and match their own fragrances. So I think, again, expanding their wardrobe is in line with that, right? Because they like to have multiple scents and they play around and kind of creating their own customized, personalized experience. And I think just, really, I think the love of scent is there, and it's just getting passed on to consumers. And again, I do think that social and influencers have certainly played a part in that. There are so many people out there who love to tell the stories of fragrance and to talk about and educate, really, too, the ingredients and the notes and the construction and the composition. It's fascinating when customers tell us about, this is the mid note or the dry down, and that they know about these things, which 10 years ago it was not the case. So I think that's all part of it. But I think all customer bases are evolving their fragrance wardrobe. They're having more fragrances than ever. They're using them different times of day, different times of year, different occasions, and are moving a little bit away from sort of that signature scent. And they're having fun with it. They're enjoying it.
Such a big change, and such an interesting and fun one too.
Yep.
Hey, Glossy Beauty listeners. ListTrack consistently delivers results for their beauty and fashion clients, providing critical data, insights, opportunities, and innovation to help them succeed. Over the holiday season, ListTrack launched the first rich communication services marketing campaign in the United States for its partner and client, the American heritage handbag and fine leather goods brand, Dooney & Bourke.
The campaign proved the power of this revolutionizing mobile messaging format, more than doubling the revenue per send compared to SMS campaigns. Rich Communication Services, RCS for short, has already made a splash globally, and it's now available in the US. ListTrack's industry experts expect RCS to be the beauty and fashion marketer's power tool in 2025, driving ROI by delivering rich, interactive experiences that bring brands to life. Think enhanced media and photography, product carousels, multiple choice questions, and polls. All interactions that go beyond traditional copy with an SMS message.
Now is the time to start creating your RCS strategy. ListTrack is here to help and guide you in reaching your customers via interactive messaging. That's listtrack.com, LISTRAK.com.
I'm Christina Coe, Senior Editor at Custom, Digiday Media's and Glossy's in-house agency. In this podcast interstitial story, sponsored by ListTrack, we speak with Jamie Eldon, ListTrack's Chief Revenue Officer, about how beauty brands are standing out leveraging personalization, and what creative formats are on the horizon.
I think we've all seen these brands that emerge on Instagram Reels and they're on TikTok. They just appear and then suddenly they're everywhere and everybody's either wearing it, using it, or talking about it. You know, like the direct-to-consumer brands that may have started in somebody's bedroom, basement, kitchen, and within a year, everybody's bought it. And that is a lot of these smaller brands are able to get that kind of success quickly by leveraging social media channels, influencers, specifically micro-influencers, you know, that they can lean into to use the product, talk about the product, and really know how to connect with a consumer, and specifically a younger consumer today. And that's where a lot of the larger, more, you know, global brands and national brands, I think, struggle, is finding that unique voice to connect there.
While some beauty brands are finding success channeling their passion into social media posts, another way to stand out is through effective personalization.
What we're doing is we're becoming a shopping partner with that customer. We're making recommendations based upon what their likes are and their behaviors. And that's something that we've been able to do at scale, cross-channel, across whatever device somebody's preferred method is. We then may pull in 2 to 3 blog articles or written content that Peter Thomas Roth done about, you know, best practices for skincare and healthcare. And we might put that in the email as well, because we might find that valuable to support the product. So again, you know, what we're able to do is really build this personalized recommendation journey for a customer, not only by putting the right product in front of them that they're interested in, but hey, here's some interesting articles and content around this area that you're looking at. And we're finding that that has become extremely valuable. It's kind of taking everything that they're interested in and putting it in one destination. And when they open it up, they feel that, wow, this is exactly what I've been looking at and what I'm interested in.
As delivering unique, personalized experiences becomes what consumers expect, beauty brands now have access to new technology to develop highly impactful mobile experiences that showcase their exceptional creatives.
In beauty and fashion, brands really focus their creative prowess around print, digital, outdoor. They spend a lot of money on those creatives to make them look beautiful and to really appeal to consumers. That creative discipline around those is now being transformed into email creative, SMS creative, MMS creative. Listrak is the first company in the United States to send an RCS message, which is rich creative. And that is going to be a game changer for the beauty industry and the fashion industry in 2025 moving forward. RCS messaging through mobile phones allows a brand to pull in their TikTok shop content, their reels, their influencer content, all into a video environment on somebody's cell phone. So what that means is it allows to create this unique, rich, creative experience with functionalities of they can shop, they can browse through catalogs, they can request something through this. It's a whole new way of a brand to communicate with a consumer through a cell phone. And it's going to be incredibly fascinating to see how that evolves over the next 1 to 3 years.
You've been listening to Jamie Eldon, Chief Revenue Officer at Listrak, our sponsor on this episode. And now back to the Glossy Beauty Podcast.
Lori, I want to talk a little bit more about celebrity fragrance. I'm curious, you know, you've obviously worked on many, but is there sort of like one sort of way that celebrity fragrances sort of come about? What is like an average or a normal story for sort of how you know, locate the celebrity, get the license, work with them, find the nose, do the marketing plan? I mean, just how does the average one come together?
Sure. So, you know, there isn't really just one straight path. I think that every celebrity or every new brand, you know, comes about in different ways. And, you know, some of them are brands that we approach and we look forward to a partnership with. Sometimes we get approached by someone who's interested in doing one. But I think if we, just take Billie, when I joined Parlux, she was someone that I had my eye on. She was a rising star. Someone who had tremendous potential, who is super authentic. And then upon learning that she absolutely loves fragrance and has this incredible passion for it, was something that was even more exciting. Again, because I think especially for that generation and her target and her fans, that authenticity is so important to them and something they really look for. So, that's something with Billie. Paris, for us, she's the OG for Parlux. 20-year relationship. So certainly predating me. So I don't have all the details, quite frankly, of how that all came together back in 2004. But I think that is a partnership that really was a groundbreaking entry into the market at the time and established the foundation for what would become one of the most successful fragrance portfolios, spanning 30 fragrances with the 30th to come, and a multi-billion-dollar business to her name. So, it kind of varies. There are celebrities out there that are looking for partners, and they approach us. Certainly, once we launched Billie, many came flocking to us when they saw the success that we had and, the incredible job that the team here did. But, we also look for people that we want to partner with. And I think for us, we look at people that we feel are genuine or authentic, that really love fragrance and want to enter the category for the right reasons and really want to be an amazing partner with us. And I think we found that. So we're very fortunate.
How exciting. But now you have to tell us the full story with Billie Eilish. Well, because one of the reasons we're here today. So as we record this episode in late January, you and your team are about to release a new Billie Eilish fragrance, the fourth one. So I want to talk about that, but tell us how the Billie Eilish relationship all kind of came about.
Absolutely. So I actually met Billie during COVID. It was a time that, as I mentioned, we kind of had our finger on the pulse and looking at her as this rising star and this incredible musician who was, just breaking out on the scene, and had the opportunity to meet with her and hear about her love of fragrance, her passion, and just seeing the connection that she had with the fans. Mm-hmm. When you look on social media and you see the engagement and you read the comments and you read what the fans write, it's very telling. Especially when I learned that just scent was her absolute passion. Like, other than music, fragrance and scent are everything to her. So that was just so super exciting. And upon meeting her, hearing about her deep knowledge, she knows ingredients, she knows about olfactive territories, she has a natural nose for scents. And, ever since her childhood, something that she has a condition called synesthesia, which is sort of the way that she processes senses. And so the way that she smells and processes fragrances is unlike other ways. And she and her father both share this condition. And I think their history goes way back. She tells the story that I absolutely love. That is, when she was a child, her friends might have been out riding bikes, and her father, he would read all the magazines and collect all of the scent strips and rip them out of the magazines.
Oh my gosh.
I know. They would kind of play, I'm using that in quotes, play scent strips. And they would open them together, a scent strip, one at a time, and they would each tell a story about what that scent meant to them, what memories it evoked, what they thought it smelled like. And this was something that they just enjoyed doing as a fun pastime of father and daughter.
Wow.
I love that. I absolutely love that story.
Wow.
I do.
It's also probably helping her to become super articulate as a child with her, with imagination and feelings. And then of course we have this amazing songwriter now with all these great fragrances. So what do you know?
Exactly. So true. So, hearing those stories from her and meeting her, she had such a clear vision from the start. I mean, really starting with the scent itself, she just had a scent that she talks about. It was in her mind that she was chasing for years and years and years. And she knew she wanted this warm, beautiful vanilla. She wanted ambery notes. She wanted kind of a little bit of floralcy and a little bit of fruits. And she, through her own fragrance experience, she did also try to mix and match her own fragrances to create sort of this perfect scent that was in her mind. She also went to local perfumers, local people, whether it was people that mixed oils and things like that, and tried to create this. And she was incredibly frustrated that she was chasing something that she could never achieve perfection. So this was something that was like a goal of hers. She needed to bring this fragrance that she wanted for herself, to life. So, it was really exciting hearing that from her. And I think that, what was really interesting for me is the very first meeting that we had together was during lockdown of COVID. And, normally when I work with, whether it's a celebrity or a fashion designer, you're sitting side by side together. Yeah. And, you're both kind of bringing inspiration to the table usually. Usually, they bring, whether it's fragrances they love to wear, they might bring design inspiration, color palettes, their favorite bottles, anything, or it could be an object in their home or just anything that inspires them. Some people might make a mood board, however it works. And then we often do the same. And we, bring fragrances and then we just sit and smell before we start creating. We might smell market leaders. We might smell some niche fragrances. We might smell some accords and some notes just to really, get a sense for where this person's head is, right? Where's their vision? What's on their mind? And so I have to be honest that I was a little bit concerned about that first meeting being on Zoom because I'd never done it before. And I was also a little afraid it would be, impersonal. Like, how is this going to work with this screen between us? And obviously we've all embraced technology since then, since lockdown and the COVID days, but it was still new. But, what was, so interesting because again, we're either used to meeting them in their homes, their offices, our offices, a hotel suite, wherever we're doing this. But, camera went on and there was Billie sitting on her bed in her childhood home because, remember, she was only, I think, 19 at the time, living with her parents still. And it just, instead of being impersonal, it actually worked the opposite. And it was actually such an intimate experience. And you almost forgot that we weren't actually sitting there together. But she took her phone and she was able to, take it to her dresser. And she showed us that she had over 100 bottles of fragrance.
Whoa.
Literally lined up. I mean,
gosh.
It was almost like a museum. I mean, she had so many. And she loved to tell the stories about them. She would tell you that this one reminded her of a day that she was in Hawaii doing XYZ, or this one reminded her of something with her dad or something with Phineas. And, just hearing her stories was fascinating and how she described them, because it wasn't in a traditional, this smells like a floral or this smells like a, gourmand or anything like that. But the way she brought her energy and her passion and her knowledge and articulated what she felt the scent to be about was fascinating. I was like eating every word she said. It was really such an amazing experience. And she also did the same thing for the bottles, the packaging.
Oh, okay.
She really, she would tell us why she liked certain bottles, whether it was colors. She talked about font styles. She knows her details. She's so knowledgeable. She's so articulate. So it was really just, it was a very interesting and unique first step in developing this rapport and this relationship, which would then, take off until we finally did have the opportunity, of course, to meet in person. But really the start of just a beautiful partnership and an intimate look on how scent has shaped her life. So, from there, we heard about the vision. We heard about this vanilla fragrance that she had been chasing for years and years. So it was our job to then translate that, right? And work with perfumers and figure out how to match what was in her mind, how to match the words that she was using to describe it, knowing she wanted this beautiful vanilla, but how we can wrap it with other, wonderful ingredients and woods and ambers and sugar petals, et cetera, and really bring a beautiful scent to life. And, the first time that we sent her fragrances, I think we sent her a box, and we might have had 8 different options in there for her. And they were all pretty close to each other because we felt pretty confident that we understood the mission, right? We knew what she wanted. But that was super exciting to be on Zoom and watch her open this box and smell each one. And when she got to the one that she felt nailed it, which rarely happens on a first go around, quite frankly, and the smile on her face and the joy and I can't even remember her words, but it was beyond ecstatic that it was what was in her mind. So just to see that come full circle was absolutely incredible. So that was really fun. As fragrance lovers, my team and I, that was a very, very special moment. And even though it was through Zoom, it really was just personal and intimate.
How exciting.
Yeah, it was really great. And then, of course, we had to create an amazing bottle for this gorgeous scent to live in. And that was kind of fun and interesting as well. We really, had a brainstorm with her. And we, were like, we need to pick your brain. What do you have in mind here? And she told us that she wanted the bottle to be a collarbone because she feels that the collarbone is the sexiest part of a woman's body.
Love that.
Love everything about that. But to be honest, when I heard that brief,
you're like, how are we going to do that?
Exactly. I was like, a collarbone? Okay. So we took that back. We were a little confused for a minute. But we really, we spent some time brainstorming. And then, of course, working with a bottle designer, John DiNapoli, we were able to bring, we brought her 10 different bottle designs in rendering form. And it started from a literal collarbone. It looked like you wanted a collarbone. We gave you a collarbone, Billie. And everything in between, with the last one, bottle number 10, being a rendition of what the final bottle today really is. Mm-hmm. So we just kind of took that brief and we morphed that collarbone into various horizontal, vertical, added a little more, all the way to it being a collarbone as sort of part of a body, and landed on this really unique and special bottle to be the vessel for this captivating fragrance.
Well, how exciting. So now you guys are about to release the 4th. Are we to assume that like the fans are sort of just like snatching these up? Like who is buying, have her super fans bought all 3? Are they about to buy the 4th? Is that sort of how this is going?
That is she has so many fans. I have to say, when we first started working with her, I think she had 30 million followers. Now I think it's 130 million followers.
Wow.
So, and her fans are diehard. I mean, they are there. There's also so many fan accounts that watch every move that she makes or that we make. So they know what's going on. Sometimes they feel like before we even know what's going on.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's really a little freaky. But that being said, yes, they're waiting. They're anxiously waiting for it. They, as you mentioned, this is being recorded in January. So, yesterday, actually, I don't know if you saw it, but she posted a teaser.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah. So she posted and said, who wants to win a free bottle of my fragrance? And I have to say, within minutes, not only was that reposted on these fan sites, but they had gone into the contest. They had opened up the terms and conditions and all the fine print of the contest, and they figured out what would be the retail price, what was going on. Like, they knew so much about it because they're just so smart and savvy. It was crazy. So I think, yes, the initial reaction, and we launched direct to consumer. Our first launch is always to her fans first. Mm-hmm. She releases it, she announces it. And there are so many people that are just waiting. They're waiting with bated breath. breath. They're saving their money. I mean, I read their comments and it's so cute. They're like, oh no, I get paid next week. Can she wait a little bit? Or, I need to save up a little more. My birthday is next month, but they are diehard fans and they collect them all. So I think that is the first consumer that we bring, is this fan who's just waiting. They collect them. They love them. They love everything about her. Mm-hmm. But then from there, we then will roll out and we'll launch with our exclusive partner, Ulta Beauty, who's been an amazing partner since the beginning with us. And that's when it's not just her fans anymore. Now it's, the fragrance enthusiast, it's the Ulta Beauty guest, it's more of her fan base who, wanted to wait perhaps until they could touch it, feel it, smell it live. And it's just fragrance lovers who will love the olfactive composition, or they might love the bottle, or they might not even know it's Billie Eilish, but, we reach new audiences that way too. But absolutely, her fan base is so committed.
I love that. And that makes so much sense. I mean, there's nothing about this process that seems easy, but it certainly does seem like it's great to have fans built in who are lining up to buy the product, right?
It absolutely is. It certainly makes the initial part of the job easy, right? I mean, yeah. I think that, knowing that when we launch, there are people just waiting with bated breath. They're counting down the minutes. They're hoping that it doesn't sell out. I mean, every single one of our fragrances that we've launched of hers has sold out, sometimes within minutes. So we try to anticipate that demand, but, sometimes it happens that way. So, seeing their feedback, seeing their comments and their waiting, it is exciting knowing that there is a built-in customer for it before we ever even launch.
It certainly feels like the celebrity fragrance world has changed so dramatically in really just how consumers and the public perceive celebrity fragrance. Do you agree, Lori, that it's, become a lot more, I guess, serious, or I guess a lot more respected, or I don't know, but what's your take on it?
I would agree with you that it's a lot more respected. Mm-hmm. I think that, celebrity fragrances have kind of been cyclical, right? They go through ups and downs. They go through periods of time where, back to sort of, Elizabeth Taylor starting it all many, many moons ago, and then kind of went into the recreation with, Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, and that era. But I think, today, I think Billie and people coming now have sort of reinvented the fragrance category. And as we talked about a little earlier, I think that because of social media, it's the opportunity for this celebrity to speak directly to their fans, to their community, for them to tell their story and to integrate fragrance into their life. So I think that by doing so, it gives fans and just general public alike a peek into their world, and really the opportunity to see that for someone like Billie Eilish or Paris Hilton, that this is really genuine, that this is a love, this is a passion, and this is hard work. They're documenting the behind the scenes of what we do. They're showing the process. So I think it is commanding more respect, because there might have just been, again, before, a perception that a celebrity, might have just put their name on something. And sure, they looked at a bottle or looked at a fragrance. They might have approved a final rendition. But I'm not sure that the public understood the work, the hard work that they're putting in, and how much they care, and the representation of their brands, and how knowledgeable they are. So I think that social media has helped that in a way to really maybe give the celebrities more credibility.
100%. Yeah. Well, it would be impossible for us to not talk a little more about Paris Hilton. Did I hear you correctly? And I think I have this in my notes, 30 fragrances over 20 years. Is that right?
That is right. We are about to launch fragrance number 30, which is unbelievable, in 20 years. It's unbelievable. It's a multi-billion-dollar business that she's created. And just like a fun fact is that every minute, 9 bottles of Paris Hilton fragrances are sold worldwide. Yes.
That's crazy. Wow.
It really is crazy. So we are so excited for this next chapter where, it's been it's been announced, so I can share with you. It's called Iconic. It's the next chapter of Paris Hilton fragrances. And iconic is certainly a word Paris is known for. And everything Paris does is iconic, which is amazing. And she's just she's such an interesting and impressive woman. And I have to say, having the opportunity to work directly with her, I didn't know that much about her other than what we all kind of saw. But I think really, even just in the past 5.5 years that I've been here, just seeing her, she is a trailblazer, not just in the industry, but, she balances her roles as a business mogul, a philanthropist, a fragrance founder. She's an author. Her advocacy on Capitol Hill, what she's doing there for law reform, and as a mother, as a really amazing mother, as an animal advocate. I just saw she rescued, these dogs that from the fires in the Palisades and helped to foster them while families who lost their homes. So she's so impressive. She is immensely professional and one of the hardest working people that I've ever been around. It's fascinating. Her fan base is beyond. When she does a personal appearance, the boatloads of fans that line up and they wait for hours just to get a glimpse of her and get a chance to meet with her. She calls them her little Hiltons. Mm-hmm. They're so excited for her. And she's really amazing because, she'll do a personal appearance with us somewhere and she might only be contracted for 2 hours to meet and greet and take photos and autographs, etc. And you know what? If that line is there, if people have queued up for hours, she does not want anyone to leave disappointed. And even though her team might be like, Paris, gotta go, it's been 2 hours, she'll stay another hour or two until she feels like every fan has had that opportunity. So she's very, very special and kind in that regard.
Wow. And is there a certain market or demographic where most of these sales are happening? Is it, I know it's international, and I'm assuming it's, mostly her fans like we're talking about now. But yeah, where are most of these sales coming from geographically?
Sure. So we have very strong business here in the States, but we also have a very large business in markets like Mexico, Dubai, Middle East, India. She really is a global phenomenon. So, it's been really exciting, excuse me. We are launching this new fragrance, Iconic. We'll be launching with a major retailer, which will be announced. But it's sort of a new day for Paris Hilton fragrances, and really excited to see. Of course, social media. Paris is the queen of social. She was, kind of the OG influencer, the creator of the selfie before it was even a thing, and obviously, TikTok or whatever will be of TikTok and markets like that, platforms like that will continue to reach younger audiences as we launch Iconic.
Well, congratulations on these two very exciting launches that are just about to happen. Lori, thank you so much for talking to us here on the podcast. Last question would be, what is your sort of prediction for fragrance as an industry, as a category for 2025?
So when it comes to fragrance trends, I think it's so exciting and interesting when we look at the palette of ingredients that perfumers have to work with and that consumers are embracing, really new and different olfactive profiles than before. When we look at botanicals, nature-inspired fragrances, there's been a reinvention of fougères. There are herbaceous notes that are entering the palette, new earthy types of fragrances, really adding warmth and playing off of nature's dualities, if you will. If you look at, something that's bright and earthy or refreshing yet luxurious, kind of having that duality of the various facets that we find in nature. We're seeing masculine floralcy. So, again, when you do look at men's fragrances today, typically florals hadn't been a major component in them, but really normalizing florals for men, using notes, whether it's lily, muguet, jasmine, those white flowers, rose. I think another trend is this higher dosage fragrances. Some consumers, everyone always wants their fragrance to last. They want it to smell for hours and hours. So they want other people to notice them. So almost like this beast mode of fragrance, higher dosage and never ending lastingness, something that we hear all the time. I want my fragrance to last all day. And then I think decadent and indulgent type of fragrances and notes, whether it's rare or exotic fruits, savory and edible notes continue, I think, to emerge and evolve. Spicy, boozy, I think continuing to evolve vanilla. Vanilla, as I'm sure you know, it's a number one searched fragrance ingredient. It's loved, but vanilla's evolved so much, and certainly Eilish has, this vanilla component to it. But really, vanilla has become much more sophisticated in years, and I think it will continue to evolve. I think there'll be much more textured varieties of it, whether it's a nutty vanilla, more complex, adding notes like honey or coconut or maple, really bringing out richness and, just continuing to have sort of these edible inspired notes and just overall tantalizing the senses. Again, I think it's such an exciting time because of the way that consumers are embracing fragrance, and they're interested in learning about perfumery. They're interested in learning about these notes and ingredients and becoming articulate. So I think there's a lot more to come. I think we're going to continue to listen to them, and we're going to continue to evolve the trends with what we're listening and learning about.
Wow, that was so insightful and so many trends. I'm over here like rapidly taking notes for our coverage this year. Lori, thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation, and congratulations on the latest Billie Eilish fragrance, Your Turn, on Paris Hilton's iconic Her 30th. A lot going on there. Congratulations.
Thank you, Lexi. Thanks so much. We're excited about our launches, and I really appreciate you having me on today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
And thank you for listening to this episode of the Glossy Beauty Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. And for even more coverage on the beauty industry and more, please visit glossy.co/beauty.